music.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for December 11th, 2023 for the next hour or so. Let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, we're recovering from the Game Awards while Sega is making Golden Axe more edgy. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Rachel Kaser, everybody. Rachel, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm sorry about the glare. Helios is basically squatted right over Texas as usual, and so this is his light. This is the best I can do to block it out. This is with the curtains drawn, the green screen up, everything. So
Ra the Sun God is coming for you. And
yeah, as long as I don't lean too far this way, or he's going to start taking me. Oh no!
Oh no! Well, you're ascending. Goodbye. Yeah, no. How have you been?
Pretty good. I mean, after the Game Awards, I detoxed by going to Anime Frontier this weekend, which is a big anime convention that is in Fort Worth, which, like any good Dallas resident, I only go to Fort Worth if it's absolutely necessary. But
of course,
I can show you this. Oh, if you hear any squealing in the background, it's my cat. But I can show you guys these.
Whoa, they really are amazing. They look
replicas of Ebony and Ivory from DMC. I asked if they had Scarborough Fair from Bayonetta. They did not, unfortunately. This is the best they could do. And the sales guy, after asking me to play a rock, paper, scissors game with another customer, he said because I was such a good sport, he'd give these to me at a discount. I know it wasn't really a discount. I'm not stupid. But at the same time, I saw them and I was just, my best friend actually bought them for me because we hadn't bought each other Christmas presents yet. So he said, let's just buy each other Christmas presents while we're there. There's going to be a ton of merch there. And he said, hey, I'll give these to you for $40. And I just went, Sydney! Next thing I know, I've got these in my hands.
Well, they're great. They look fantastic. For people listening to the audio version, Ebony and Ivory, these guns are as big as Rachel Kaser. They are gigantic.
Yep, they are they're almost as long as my whole arm.
Yes, that is incredible stuff. Well, I'm glad you got a chance to get away from games to the complete opposite, which is, of course, anime. That's the way to do it. You said you got to meet Steve Bloom and all that stuff. That's fun.
Steve Bloom, among other voice actors. I waited in line for 3 hours to meet Steve Bloom because unfortunately I got there right as he was going to lunch. And they said, just park up here early in the line. He'll be back soon. He went and had a nice lunch. And then, it took a while for the line to go through. But it was great when he finally got up there. He's just a lovely guy. All the voice actors there are just wonderful people.
Sure.
I've never met a voice actor who wasn't just a delight to be around.
Yeah, they seem to be very appreciative of the industry that made them. They're famous, whatever it is. But yeah, it's always nice to see that they pay that back. So glad that worked out. I definitely am recovering from the Game Awards. It was like halfway through the week and I was already losing my voice. And then we had to go do our live show. And it was, that was a struggle for me to speak during that thing. So very happy with the response though. We had a great time. It was really fun. It was great to see all the bits that I was half planning, being this is pretty stupid, but I'm going to do this. We had Ben Starr intro our show with a little sketch or whatever. And I'm like, God, no one's going to find this funny. And everyone seemed to like all the stuff we did. So that was nice. And then, it was just cool to get together with everyone and hang out and do cool stuff all week, which is how it worked out. And very, very happy with it. So thanks to everybody who came out. Thanks to everybody who, I watched GB at night. That was a ton of fun. Boy, I like doing that a lot.
Y'all looked like you were having fun. Oh, hello, little daughter. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah, kitty. Get in there.
She is very... I was afraid she was going to hit a button and shut me out of the stream or something.
Of course.
But
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it looked like y'all were having fun. I think Mike was there. Well, obviously Mike was there, but I think he said he brought... one of our other colleagues, Jordan, there too.
Yeah, got to meet Jordan for the first time. Yeah, that was great.
You got to meet Jordan before you got to meet me.
Yes, exactly. Hey, I feel bad about that, but I'm glad you're here now talking about games with me.
It's because I was the one staying behind and minding the store while everyone else was in LA.
Yep. Yeah, but it was Jordan lives out there. That probably made it easier. But yeah, so got to meet Jordan for a little bit she was at the office, but I was busy. Mostly I met her at a Twitch event later and that was it. And yeah, it was cool. It was great. Now I just got to meet you in person to collect all the GamesBeat team.
To unlock the achievement. Yes.
To unlock the achievement. Exactly. Yeah.
I still
all right.
haven't met Mike in person, so
Oh, really?
it's probably going to be both. Yeah, I haven't. It's just we've kind of missed each other at every single GamesBeat event. We've only worked together for 2 years.
Yeah. He right. Like, it probably makes sense. It's like, okay, well, Mike will go to this GamesBeat event. You can go to the next one, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Because we're both the ones who don't live in California.
Right.
Although
exactly.
I'm hoping y'all can come out. Either y'all can come out to Texas, or I can do a road trip up to New York or something and cross paths with you guys on the way.
I've been looking for a reason to get down to Texas at some point. I'd like to visit. That would be great.
Just for the brisket. For the brisket.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the food, of course. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
One of my Uber drivers told me all about his favorite Texas barbecue, and I was like, this is a good kind of Uber driver, the one that just wants to talk about barbecue. All right. Yeah. Let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right.
Hi, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube. We have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Lego Fortnite is propelling Fortnite to a new level of popularity. This is from Ollie Welsh at Polygon.
I didn't realize Fortnite had new levels of popularity to go to.
Yes, and it seems that's like a wild thing. Like over the weekend, yet again, apparently they had a new high for concurrent players at the same time. That's it just keeps doing that now. Lego Fortnite, the new survival game spinoff of the Fortnite phenomenon that Epic Games launched on December 7th, is off to a flying start. According to Epic's official player tracking, as recorded by Fortnite.gg, Lego Fortnite peaked at an astonishing 2.45 million concurrent players on Saturday. To put that number in context, it's considerably higher than the all-time high for any game on Steam, save PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which peaked at over 3 million simultaneous players in January 2018. It's more than twice as many players as Steam's current most popular game, Counter-Strike 2, had at the same point on Saturday. Lego Fortnite is also the dominant game mode within Fortnite itself right now. It's drawing roughly twice as many players as the main Battle Royale mode and a comparable number to the Battle Royale Zero Build and Ranked modes combined. Epic launched 2 other new games within Fortnite last week, Arcade Racer Rocket Racing and rhythm game Fortnite Festival. These are not nearly as popular as Lego Fortnite, although their peak player counts are deep into 6 figures and would still be the envy of all but the top 3 or 4 games on Steam. Rachel, when I was first hearing rumors about this, it's that Lego game is probably going to be very, very popular inside of Fortnite. I bet it's going to make a ton of money. Here it is again, though. It is taking over the world, it seems like, and I guess it makes sense. Lego has been looking for a way to sneak back around and take over some of the lunch that Minecraft ate from Lego in a way, and partnering up with Fortnite makes a lot of sense, and people seem to really like the game. I'm going to try it out this week, but I don't know. What do you think? Is this just peanut butter and jelly working together to create great results for everybody?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I was thinking about this kind of reminded me of how last year a Lego game was the only game that competed with Elden Ring for sales. It was the Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. That was the only game that was neck and neck with Elden Ring for sales the entirety of the year. And then so you combine something like Fortnite, which I mean, I think it might not have been as big if Fortnite hadn't gotten such a resurgence with the OG. But I think that brought back so many people in, and then you have a bunch of parents going, Lego, well, that's got to be great for kids, and putting their little tykes back on. Maybe it also attracted some of the Roblox audience, kind of brought them in maybe a little bit.
Yeah, at the very least, what I think is happening with that, even if it's not attracting the Roblox audience, which it might be, I think it could be. If it's not, though, what it's doing is it's creating a new thing that it's attracting people who might have been into Roblox as a kid and missed it. And now they're like, well, I like this idea of going to one hub and getting a bunch of different experiences, having one place I hang out, and then it could be a bunch of different things. That's what Roblox does better than anything else, even though it's a nightmare for the people that make the games and kind of a mess of a company. It still does that thing better than anything else, except for now maybe Fortnite, which is going to have the ability to be anything because the underlying fundamental technology is unreal and that could be shaped into any number of things. And then also the quality level seems to be much better. Now, these games all still seem to be made by Epic themselves, right? I don't think any of these things have been made by fans yet. Is that correct? Do you know?
I don't think they've been made by fans. I think it's, I mean, there are like companies that Epic collaborates with, like they did that with the Alan Wake Fortnite Island. But I think there have been some that have been made by collaborators, but I don't remember.
Right,
I don't
like
think
official partnerships, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's probably eventually they do get to a point where they are bringing in like community-made games, and that's what powers them going into the future. That's their metaverse play or whatever. But in the meantime, it's like, well, these select partnerships where you're taking game modes that can be very fun and can fit into Fortnite and like appeal to the kinds of players that were already in Fortnite. That makes a ton of sense. I'm going to play the Lego game, but I'm actually more excited about the rocket racing because I love Rocket League and I love the way those cars feel. So now I'm just going to go play a kart racer with those games. That's a great idea to me. Do you think that this is going to have a long-term sort of benefit to the game? Do you think this is going to last, or is this a flash in the pan and then in a couple months everyone's going to be back over on the Battle Royale game?
I think Lego Fortnite has staying power for sure. Rocket Racer, I'm not so sure. Like I feel like the same people who will be playing that will probably just go back to Rocket League. But there's no singular Lego game that the Lego audience can just go back to.
Right.
I feel like, it's like you can go back and play some of the single player Lego games. You can, what is that Lego MMO? It's out. My brain.
I know what you mean. Yes. But I can't remember the name of it either, but Lego Worlds or something like that, maybe.
Yeah. I think this is definitely, I think that this also has the power to attract, the younger audience as well, parents who maybe didn't want them playing Fortnite, but also are just now starting to realize that Roblox may not be the safest place either.
Right.
Which it isn't. So you've combined that, and then so you've got, parents bringing in the kids, you got a little bit of the Roblox audience, and then you got the Fortnite players who want to try something new. I think it's got staying power. I think it's got legs.
I totally agree. And like the way that they're phrasing this, that they like in this story, it says together the 3 new modes, which launched alongside Fortnite's Chapter 5 and in the wake of the Big Bang event on December 2nd, represent a new era for Fortnite as it continues its evolution from a hugely popular battle royale shooter into a multifaceted, multiverse-style online gaming platform. Like this story calls them new modes. Every time you bring that up to Epic, they're like, we think they're new games. These are whole new games inside of Fortnite. And it does feel like they are gonna be able to establish that these things aren't just asides from or distractions away from the main attraction of Fortnite, which is the battle royale. It's like, no, that now it's just everyone comes to Fortnite to see what else they can do in there, and it's a place to hang out with their friends. I get to be a little bit of an old man about this, and I get a little I'm like, I don't know if I like the idea of like one game being like the ultimate game for people. It's like I like the idea of things being so different and be able to come out of nowhere. But at the same time, it doesn't seem like that side of gaming is going to stop. It's not like suddenly early access games are going to stop popping off on Steam because millions of people are playing on Fortnite. It looks like we can have both, and maybe that's pretty cool, right?
Oh, I think it is for sure, because there are always going to be people who are the opposite of you, or like, I just want to go one place where I can, hang out with the people that I want to hang out with, play games with them, socialize, and or just meet new friends, or try new things. And some people, it can be an ease of use factor as well, because especially with early access games, those can be hard to, speaking as someone who has been playing Baldur's Gate since 2020. And there's definitely an ease of use factor there. Right.
And it's Jason Finelli in chat's kind of saying something similar about how this can introduce new concepts, new genres to an audience that may have never tried things before. And gaming's got a lot of that right now, like Game Pass. So, hey, Game Pass, you already subscribed to Game Pass. There's going to be games in there that you wouldn't have tried if you had to pay for them, but now you could just go ahead and download them and play them on your Xbox. It's cool. Like that is going to work for a certain audience, but another audience is like, well, I don't even want to subscribe to anything. I want
Yeah.
I want a free to play game, and because I don't have any money. I'm a poor college kid, or I'm someone who is like streaming Fortnite to a device because because a free to play game makes sense for me. And
or I'm a single parent.
yes, exactly. There's a million scenarios in which it's like a free to play game has a lot more appeal. And then now they have this whole world opening up to them of a bunch of different genres coming into this one place, and in a place where they feel like it's worthy of spending my time in there, because I know I always have a good time in Fortnite, and my friends are already there. That's the biggest factor in most of the time. For people with like Game Pass, it's like, yeah, if my friends are already there and I'm playing a bunch of games with them, that makes sense for me. But if your friends are already in Fortnite, you're not going to want to like leave there to go try to find games to get them, maybe to bring them with you. It's much more beneficial if it's already in the Fortnite ecosystem, I think. What other games would you want to see in this? Oh, yeah, or if you have something else to add.
No, actually, since that's actually an answer to your question. Since I mentioned it, Lego Baldur's Gate.
Okay, yeah, that would be fantastic.
I
That's actually a really good idea. That's
a little
fantastic.
Lego Carlac.
Uh-huh.
I can picture her now, just my beautiful Carlac, just in Lego form.
Yeah.
And yeah, this could work, especially like some of the weirder races that you get in Dungeons and Dragons, like the mushroom people as well. That they would be fun to see in Lego form.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need like a little Lego episode of Baldur's Gate 3.
I like that a lot. Yeah. Having like the simple look of something like a Lego to be more welcoming and let people know like, hey, no, yeah, don't worry, this is going to be easy to visually parse. I think that could be beneficial to something like Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah. Did you see the whole thing that was popping off after the Game Awards where Spider-Man fans were like, have you ever played Baldur's Gate 3? Who's played Baldur's Gate 3? It's like, here's Lego Baldur's Gate 3. Here, educate yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. How'd you feel about the overall like reaction to the Game Awards and the Game Awards themselves? We talked a little bit about it before we got started, but yeah, how'd you feel about it all?
I mean, okay, leaving aside the whole like criticism of, whether this event is like too commercial, whether it didn't acknowledge the devs enough, whatever was going on with Hideo Kojima, as usual, that like what was going on with Hideo Kojima is like a subheading for every single Game Awards every year.
Right.
And
that's
so leaving all that aside, I thought all of the awards went to the worthy candidates. The only one that I thought was given incorrectly was Best Ongoing Game. Because that should not have gone to Cyberpunk 2077 because it's not an ongoing game. It's done.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah. It on-goed to this year, I suppose. Yeah. I'm not like too upset with that one, but I think it was a repair job. That's exactly right. That's where my problem is. Like, there are other ones where it's like, hey, they went from strength to strength because their ongoing support was so good. And Cyberpunk went from, we have to fix this mess to being something that is acceptable. And now people really like, of course. But yeah, I agree with that.
Since we're talking about it, that should have gone to Fortnite, I think, because Fortnite has put in so much work this year with OG and then as well with Lego Fortnite. I think I never thought I'd say this, but Fortnite was robbed.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like the commercialization of the Game Awards, it's like, obviously it can't be commercialized. It was always a commercial. But boy, it was pretty egregious this year. It was wild. And my thing is that this is Jeff Keighley's nature. Like, I put out the scorpion and the toad image of him being the scorpion and us expecting different from him. And it's just like that this is who he is. This is the kind of show he's going to make. He's going to have probably like 10 celebrities. If those celebrities will show up, he'll put them on stage before anyone else. And then he will shortchange more awards if it means more commercials. And I mean, at a certain point, it's on us to like not expect him to change and to do something different and to avert our attention somewhere else is what I think. It's like, I think we should maybe try to like lift up the DICE Awards and make them a bigger deal, because that they are the complete antidote to the Game Awards, if this is what we actually care about. But I don't know. What do you think?
Those are the actual awards. I think I remember seeing somewhere on a social media, somebody said, was trying to defend Jeff and saying, like, why does everyone say Jeff doesn't love games? Jeff Keighley, not Jeff Grubb. Jeff Keighley
say that
doesn't
about
love
Jeff
games.
Grubb too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I say, and I just run like, of course Keeley loves games. I don't for a second doubt that he loves games. In fact, I think part of this is because he promises to so many publishers and developers that they can get their game in front of an audience. That, I mean, that combined with, because he's also a film and TV nerd, which is, one of the reasons he and Kojima get along so well, because Kojima is exactly the same way. I think like those two things are so paramount to him that you put them together and it just crowds the awards out. Yep. And I mean, I don't think it's malice, but I think, it's like, yes, of course Keeley loves games, but as with all relationships, loving something is not enough if you don't treat it right.
Yes.
And I think in this case, it was more just that everybody who actually got a chance to accept an award on stage basically had like 15 to 20 seconds to speak. And poor Neil Newbon is up there actually getting teary-eyed, thanking his family. And this is like, talking about what a great honor this is for him. And meanwhile, there's like that teleprompter that flashes up, please wrap it up.
Yep.
And I was like, don't you dare play that man off the stage. He's crying.
I know. Yeah. And so it ends up feeling very, very awkward and a little embarrassing, I think, is kind of what it is. But whatever. I know what the Game Awards is. Most people know at this point. It's just like even knowing it going
Spike
into
TV.
it. Yes, exactly. So giving a ton of time to Jordan Peele and Kojima, of course, that's how it's going to go down.
Yeah. That was the only part that I was like, okay, there were some obvious cuts that could have been made here. Like everything else, you want to let Anthony Mackie, whose only relation to games, like Simu Liu and Matthew McConaughey at least are associated with games that are coming out. Anthony Mackie's only thing is like being in the Peacock adaptation of Twisted Metal.
Right.
And
it does feel like, man, if there's any sort of gaming relation, it's like, okay, this counts as gaming 100%, so we won't get in trouble. And it's like, no, these are just actors from Hollywood, and it feels weird. Anthony Mackie, I realized what he was doing. He saw the Keanu Reeves thing of, no, I love you more. And he was trying to recreate that so hard that it just blew up in his face. It's like, oh man, you really blew that one big time, Anthony.
Yeah, because this is not E3. It's just a bunch of like industry professionals in the audience going,
yep, exactly.
Yay.
Last thing before we move on, it is, I mean, obviously everyone knows it's expensive to get into the Game Awards. If you have a game and you want to spend a lot of money to get on there, it's probably worth it, but it's hundreds of thousands of dollars for seconds of airtime. With that kind of business, us complaining online is only going to be so effective when that money is very green and spends very well. And Jeff Keighley, that's going to be the priority there. All right, let's see here. Sega wants its franchise reboots to be edgy. This is from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. While we were speculating on some Sega reboots, now the company has confirmed it's bringing back some beloved IPs, including Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi, and more. While we didn't hear much on what these reboots will look like, Sega COO Shuji Utsumi recently revealed more information. Speaking with the Washington Post, Utsumi said Sega wants to show edginess and a rebellious mindset in these reboots. The concept of games like Jet Set Radio has advanced. The original creators are involved again, and its time is now, he continued. It's a good time where people can appreciate all kinds of concepts. We got a glimpse of a bunch of the games at the Game Awards, and I thought they looked pretty good. I didn't think anything looked especially rebellious or edgy, but maybe that's something we haven't been shown yet. Do you think these classic Sega franchises can find that edge and could come out and have a relevancy in today's market?
Yes, it depends on what they mean. I'm kind of wondering if maybe there was a little bit of a something lost in translation a little bit.
Always a possibility, yes.
To me, because edgy could be, I mean, I can see how you could say something like Jet Set Radio could be more, I think, a rebellious mindset. That's Jet Set Radio in a nutshell. But I'm not sure how you could make that edgy. It's riding around and
it's probably a different
walls.
Edgy than we're thinking of, right? It's probably different edgy than what our culture associates with edgy. This is coming from a completely different place, different country. They probably mean it does, it does have an edge. It's something where you look at that, you're like, oh, this feels like something, they're going for something. Is probably what they mean.
You know what? Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably what it is. I don't think they're going to go a whole, I think somebody mentioned it in chat, DMC Devil May Cry reboot. I don't think that's where they're going to go with Jet Set Radio at all.
That's not a bad idea.
Oh no. Oh no, you said it. I've spoken it into existence. It's going to happen now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unavoidable. I think that those games all looked pretty cool. The Shinobi game looks excellent, but I mean, I think even like the
Streets of Rage. There was Streets of Rage in there too, right?
Streets of Rage in there, yes, and
that could go edgy.
Yes,
sure.
definitely, and that's the one I'm like most worried about because it's okay. You got to get the music. Did they get the music and make that right? And are they going to have the right snappiness? Streets of Rage 4 just came out, not from Sega really, and that's excellent. That's still a game I play to this day. So you're gonna be compared to that. But hey, beat 'em ups are in a good place. Go for it. But I'm like Golden Axe, that's coming back as well. It's like, oh, these are things that like I think I would like ask for. But I wasn't like, oh, you need to go all out and try to make them AAA games. And it doesn't feel like necessarily they are going to be AAA, but it does feel like they are going for something more than just a nostalgic, hey, let's repaint these things, put them out again, and then move on in a couple years, and maybe we'll do something with them again in a couple years. So I'm glad that they're making an effort here, and it sounds like they have a vision. I don't know. We're going to start getting these games to see if Sega is actually going to deliver on them. Is it a good thing that maybe Sonic is not a part of like this initiative? Like Sonic gets to live over here, and it's like, okay, all the other Sega games get a chance to breathe because Sonic's not taking up the oxygen?
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like Sega has relied on Sonic a whole lot as a franchise, as they should. It's still a big moneymaker, but I think in this case, I feel like they have had a lot of people over the years. I think it's got to be like a ramping up of voices saying, hey, we want another Crazy Taxi game, or we want another Golden Axe game. There's got to have been, I think there have been more of those. Probably I'm going to guess that's probably what prompted it. And I think even if they only put like a quarter of the resources into this that they put into Sonic, then I think it definitely has a strong chance of success, of giving us something good that we will want to play. Even people who perhaps are not, lifelong Golden Axe or Crazy Taxi fans like you and I are, will give them a chance to onboard into the franchise. And, it's that whole thing that I feel like a lot of people have talked about this year of, we've got these older franchises. You're just leaving money on the table by not bringing them back, because even if there aren't a whole lot of people asking for them, there's still good IPs.
Yes, absolutely. And it is Sega sort of figuring out, hey, we can make bets on a variety of different things because we have these pillars. And then that's what Utsumi says is these projects wouldn't be possible without the Sega pillars of Persona, Like a Dragon, and Sonic. We've been investing into these three titles the last 3 years, making these pillars grow, and they grew very well. And now they're enabling them to take chances on some of these other franchises. And it's like, okay, in my opinion, that's the way it should always be working, right? It's like you got things that are working now, and obviously keep trying new things. And I think Sega probably almost certainly is. They have been. But also, you have these dormant franchises that I have a lot of nostalgia for. Let's give them a chance to come back. I'm a little shocked that they're coming back all at once, or that they announce like 5 games at a time. But part of that makes me think like, oh, this feels like a true, like I said, like a vision. Like they have an idea behind all of this, and that's going to give them this impetus to keep going. I hope that these 5 games come out, do well enough that we keep getting more, and we'll talk about there are more coming beyond these 5, that they have some stuff planned that they didn't talk about and they didn't reveal at the Game Awards. But
maybe nothing to show per se.
Yes.
Although I will say it is funny after seeing Persona and Yakuza, now Like a Dragon games be kind of niche for so long, now to hear Shuji Utsumi describe them as pillars of Sega's marketing strategy, and I'm like, it is the times we live in. I'm glad they're getting more attention now, but God, it is weird to hear those described in such a way.
It's weird, but it's congratulations to Sega for like figuring that out and like making it happen. It's a company that has often felt lost, and at least when it comes to those, well, maybe Sonic's still a little bit, they're still lost, but when it comes to Persona and Like a Dragon, they seem to have a pretty good idea of where they need to be with those. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to keep talking about the news. We'll be right back after this.
Break time.
And we're back. We're back, and we're no longer breaking. Was this on the side of the screen?
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yes.
All right. Well, no problem. You take your drink. That's fine. You're fine.
Stay hydrated, everyone. Everyone drink water.
Exactly. All right. Sega says some of the original Jet Set Radio team are working on the reboot. This is from My Nintendo News. Sega co-chief operating officer and Sega of America CEO Shuji Utsumi has spoken a little more about the new Jet Set Radio reboot, which was showcased at the Game Awards. Talking to the Washington Post, the CEO said that a number of developers from the original game are currently hard at work at the Jet Set Radio reboot and says that they will try to invoke that aforementioned edginess and a rebellious mindset. The concept of games like Jet Set Radio is advanced. This is the quote from before, but basically the other news bit from this interview here is that the original team, some of those people have returned to work on the game, and I think that's probably for the best. I was never a huge Jet Set Radio lover, Rachel. I think I always thought it looked cool, and I liked it from a distance, and I would play it, and I'm like, this doesn't quite immediately click with me. But that doesn't mean like people who worked on that game are going to just make that exact game again. They've been making games this entire time. They know where to improve upon the formula, and I still want like that original feel and style to be there. But it's cool. Do you think that they can modernize a game like this and make it relevant?
I think so. I think, well, it can go either way when you bring back the original creators. Either they just spin their wheels and make the same game again, or they pull out all the draft documents, all the like concept documents that they had, and they're like, oh, we really wanted to make this game back in the day. And you can, and then they'll throw in like so many of the original concepts that they worked on that maybe technically they weren't able to put into the original game. Maybe another, a different story direction, a different, some additional art. Because there's so much that gets cut in the pre-production of these games. I can't help but think that there's a chance if you bring back the original creators for them to expand on their original vision. And I'm hoping that's what we get with Jet Set Radio.
Yes, I totally agree. And then at the same time, Sega plans to revive even more legacy franchises. This is from Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life. Arguably one of the biggest highlights of this year's Game Awards show was Sega's announcement it would be reimagining 5 classic IPs, including Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi, Golden Axe, Shinobi, and Streets of Rage. In case you missed it, there's apparently even more to come, according to the official trailer. And in the PR for the announcement, it's further noted how the upcoming projects spanning a range of genres and currently in different stages of development, with plans to release them over the next several years. Sega co-chief operating officer and Sega of America CEO Shuji Utsumi had to say this about the announcement. We are digging into our legacy and reimagining several franchises to bring these games to more audiences around the globe. Today's announcement is just the start of our initiative. First and foremost, our ambition will be to create great games with memorable characters and worlds. We hope fans of all ages will look towards our future with anticipation as we release these projects in the coming years. So yes, like we got Shinobi, Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio. There's other games that have been rumored. The one that I want is Echo the Dolphin, mostly because I really like that Dreamcast game, and I think if they were to take Echo the Dolphin and kind of reimagine it now, they could do a cool 3D Echo the Dolphin game again. But I don't know. What would you want? People in chat are saying things like Knights. Is that appealing to you?
Oh yeah, that would definitely. Altered Beasts for sure. Panzer Dragoon, maybe.
Yeah.
House of the Dead.
Yes,
just throw. Although I will say, you'll be playing Echo the Dolphin by yourself. Me and my thalassophobia, I can't even watch videos of Subnautica, so like I'm probably not going to be the like Echo the Dolphin 2D is. I can make that work. My brain doesn't make that connection as like, oh, this is like, that's kind of why I can also play Dave the Diver. But anything like you get to like 3D like Subnautica, oh no, it's done. I'm like, my brain just makes me go like this. No, like curl up into a ball, like can't watch.
I get a little scared as well with underwater games, but it's kind of a fun scare. And any sort of thing swimming beneath me freaks me out. But I'm going to be playing Subnautica because my name works really well with it, Rachel. That's how it works at Giant Bomb. If it could be Grubbnautica, yeah, I'm going to have to play it. People are mentioning Vector Man. Comic Zone is one that actually has been rumored that it will come relatively soon after these 5 games, I suppose. But yeah, Comic Zone is one they're making. It's like, man, I wonder what that looks like if they try to like make that 3D. I kind of hope they just stick with the 2D visuals and make them look like a comic book again, because that was such a good gimmick for a game that is pretty hard to play. Actually, it's pretty difficult to actually get through that game because the challenge is so high. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about all this.
Oh, they mentioned Virtua Fighter. When they mentioned Virtua Fighter, I was just having flashbacks to like, that was actually the very first fighting game I ever played was Virtua Fighter 2.
Oh, so, yes. Yeah. Virtua Fighter is one that I was kind of hoping would get mentioned at the Game Awards. So yeah, the fact that they didn't. even though they had that recent arcade re-release of Virtua Fighter 3. I love Virtua Fighter, and I know it doesn't have we were talking about it before one of the shows. The Giant Bomb staff was talking about it. It's like the characters aren't quite as memorable as some of the other games, but it's like you could fix that pretty easily by just giving them a new coat of paint for sure. All right, let's see here. Final Fantasy XVI's producer doesn't think there will be a sequel or a spinoff. This is from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. Recently, we've seen the surprise launch of Final Fantasy XVI's first expansion, packing a new story, weapons, and level cap. We're also going to get another expansion next year, seeing Clive face off against the Leviathan. But even with this lot of DLC, it doesn't seem like Final Fantasy XVI is getting much more attention in the future. According to a recent interview with Famitsu, the game's producer, Naoki Yoshi-P Yoshida, believes the team is looking more towards a new title altogether. Rather than add to Final Fantasy XVI, the producer said he'd rather work on the next title or consider a new challenge. Still, the door isn't closed forever. If you ask me if there will be anything related to Final Fantasy XVI in the future, I don't know. Since I don't know what will happen, I'd rather not say anything definite, said Yoshida.
Which I think is code for Square Enix could do it without my input, and so I can't speak for them.
Yes, I think you're probably right about that. It's yeah, I think that Final Fantasy XVI is in a place where they're going to maybe let it settle for a little bit and see if like the fandom can resurge in some ways, because that could happen with a game like this, where it's like a lot of arguments happened in the early months about, oh, is it a real Final Fantasy or whatever? But that stuff will wane, and then a lot of times with games like this that do have a lot of momentum behind them and a lot of fan love, it's like, okay, no, actually we appreciate what this is, even if it's different than what we were expecting, and now it's actually a beloved game, and that happens all the time with Final Fantasy games in particular. So
it's true.
They could take their time on this and maybe come around to doing something a little bit later, but also it doesn't seem like it's in a place where it would make sense to do a ton with Final Fantasy XVI as opposed to like making more Final Fantasy VII spinoffs, just from a business perspective. I get maybe people might be a little over Final Fantasy VII stuff. I have no idea. I'm just not a fan. But they keep doing more of that stuff, and that seems to be doing just fine. And it's like, well, opportunity cost. Maybe we should just keep doing that instead of it doubling down on Final Fantasy XVI. Maybe we should just get on with Final Fantasy XVII. I don't know. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, they really do feel like different entities at this point. Like you got your Final Fantasy VII like ecosystem, basically, where they're like they're trying to do a whole like remaking the original game with something new. They're doing a Resident Evil 4 remake, and with that in multiple stages. But we've also got and they're releasing mobile games, and they did that remake of what was the prequel game with Zack? I can't remember. They released that last year.
Yes, the Crisis Core. Crisis
Core, thank you.
Yes.
And so they've got that whole thing, like that's a whole separate cauldron that's bubbling away, and they're stoking that as much as they can. I really don't think Final Fantasy XVI. I think it's better as a closed system, as what it is. Like just like let's not overmarket that. It's perfectly lovely the way it is. It's had its time, but I think it would be like not in their best interest to necessarily invest more money in it directly, especially when they can just immediately go on to Final Fantasy XVII, maybe.
Right, and the thing that is the biggest success out of Final Fantasy XVI, they don't need Final Fantasy XVI to do that. That's Ben Starr. They could just hire him to do other games. He could voice characters in the future. I suppose maybe he played the main character Clive. I guess maybe he wouldn't play the main character in another Final Fantasy game, but maybe, hey, why not? He's got range. He probably could.
Cast him as Sid in all future installments.
Exactly. Yes.
That way he can keep coming back. He doesn't necessarily have to be the same character.
Yes. I think that's the way to do it.
So that's my proposal. We have Ben Starr play Sid in all future Final Fantasy games.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Marino says Final Fantasy VIII Remake as Squall. Thank you, because, he's a huge Final Fantasy VIII fan.
Yes, I can see it now, and I'm just like, yes, I can see it.
There it is.
Although, to be fair, I always picture Squall as having a little bit more of like because his voice, especially as Clive, is much more like very serious, very tone. I picture Squall as kind of having like a whatever kind of a voice, like kind of like a really kind of cringy teenager. Who doesn't realize he's cringy.
Exactly.
Not that I doubt Ben can do that, but it'd be a little bit different than
it'd be
what he's
different
done before.
I would like to see it. I know he could do it. I saw some of his range myself, so yes, absolutely. Speaking of games not getting direct sequels or spinoffs, a Zelda producer confirms Tears of the Kingdom won't get a direct sequel. This is from Jonathan Wright at Destructoid. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom might be the perfect sequel in every definition of the word, but even Nintendo seems to agree that it has exhausted all possibilities for this particular iteration of Link's journey. You'll know by now that Tears, originally conceived as DLC for Breath of the Wild, morphed into a proper installment when the producers realized the sheer scope of the ideas being thrown around at the studio. The entire game is pretty much modeled after what you already experienced in the acclaimed 2017 title, and yet we couldn't begin to list all the fun elements they built upon to turn Tears of the Kingdom into another sensational hit. Sure, it may have ultimately lost the Game of the Year to Baldur's Gate 3, but it's not every day that we get a sequel to one of the greatest games in history and somehow end up enjoying it more. And the best part, it looks like Nintendo knows when to leave well enough alone, because it's not planning to develop a threequel to the Breath of the Wild offshoot. Eiji Aonuma, who's served as a producer on the Legend of Zelda franchise for well over over 3 decades, recently explained in an interview with Game Informer that they aren't planning a threequel mainly because Tears is already the apotheosis of this particular subseries. As I've mentioned previously with the Tears of the Kingdom, we were seeking to build on top of the world we created with Breath of the Wild and really exhaust the possibilities of what we could put into that world, Aonuma explained. I think it is, to use a bit of a term, an apotheosis or the final form of that version of The Legend of Zelda. In that regard, I don't think that we'll be making a direct sequel to a world such as that we created here. That's correct, right, Rachel? I mean, you could do that twice. A third time would be serious diminishing returns, right?
Yeah, especially since they've already used Ganondorf. I mean, that was the only thing that was kind of missing in Breath of the Wild that they brought back in Tears of the Kingdom is classic Ganondorf as, the main villain. Whereas, and that was one of the weird things about Breath of the Wild to me is like, well, yeah, we've got Ganon, but he's basically just like this big evil cloud. And, without necessarily a personality. And then they finally bring back Ganondorf Classic in this and, have him be the big villain in this. I can't see where they would go with a third game. I don't. And also, as much as I appreciate the writing there, it's like, was it a perfect sequel? Because to me, I feel like we neglected the story of Tears of the Kingdom a little bit.
I really like the story of Tears of the Kingdom because of the, I don't care about the lore of Zelda. I care about what's happening in front of me, and the emotions of Tears of the Kingdom really worked.
This is true.
Yes, that stuff really hit me. I thought the moments were very powerful. Them fitting in overall doesn't bother me, but yes, they definitely neglected that. If that's someone's concern, yes, I agree that they did not care about that at all. So yes, if we're looking for sequels in those terms, it's not the perfect sequel. You're right. Is that something you were looking more from the series in the future?
I think so. I think, personally, one of the slight disappointments to me about Tears of the Kingdom was that I felt we could have made a little bit more complexity with Ganondorf and why he wanted to conquer us was he's just evil,
sure.
As opposed to maybe this is just he was somebody who was doing the right thing for the wrong reasons or something like that.
He's just a force of nature, right? He's like a hurricane. Yeah.
And at this point you're just well, that's just not, at a certain point that fails to be interesting to me, especially when we're trying to make Zelda more complex as a character. Not Link necessarily, but Zelda and all the other side characters, we're trying to make them more complex. And I really think if it had been story only, it definitely would have stayed DLC. It was the mechanics, the gameplay mechanics, which are just chef's kiss. That was what made it into a whole separate game, not the story. So if you were going to make a third game in the series, you'd have to come up with an even more interesting gameplay mechanic, because I don't think there's anywhere else for a story to go.
Yes. You're definitely right. And I think that when you look at it that way, it's obvious you just do something new with the next game. Now it's going to be open world, still going to be Breath of the Wild inspired. Clearly that's where they're headed. I mean,
they're not stupid.
Yes. I mean, we could just look at the numbers. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are about to be outselling the rest of the Zelda games combined here pretty soon. We're going to be pretty close to it. Those games have sold so much better than previous Zelda games that they're not going to go back they're not going to go wholesale back. They will have offshoots of Zelda. They will keep doing 2D Zelda here and there. They'll probably have something equivalent to the Link's Awakening remake again in a couple of years.
Probably.
I will play that and I'll be very excited. But they're going to keep making games in this Breath of the Wild form. It's just they're going to have to change up a lot more, a completely new map, maybe rethinking a lot of that stuff as well, just like how the map can work and things like that. So, hey, we'll find out in 7 years whenever that game actually comes out, right? So, sheesh.
Yeah, I think I think we're probably definitely going to have something that comes out in conjunction with the movie. So, which probably will still be quite some time from now.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad because they probably could do a like depending on like what story the movie is. Let's say let's say it's Ocarina of Time. Let's say they're doing Ocarina of Time. If they had an Ocarina of Time remake to go along with that,
oh yes,
that would pop off, right? If you give people, people love getting home from the movie and then playing the game that they just got really excited about, or watching the movie on Netflix or whatever. That's happened recently with The Witcher and Last of Us. And it's like if Ocarina of Time, the remake would be Ocarina of Time, would be a very good game. It's like, and it looked like big and important with the remake visually. I think that could be very successful, but we'll see.
Yes, I'm picturing it now. That seems, if I were a Nintendo executive, I would want to capitalize on like having not necessarily the attention that a movie would bring, because I don't think Zelda needs the attention, but more like the franchise continuity.
Yes, definitely.
So you don't want the movie to feel like a whole separate entity from the game series.
Are you a Hyrule Historia reader?
I have friends who are.
I'm sorry to hear that.
If you'd like me to read Hyrule Historia, I will do so.
No, I would
happily.
never wish that upon anybody. You save yourself.
I'll start a Patreon, and you can request that of me.
Okay, well there you go. If you're getting paid and whatever, let's make it happen.
I mean, I was thinking about reading those god awful Assassin's Creed novels for a while, but I'd happily pivot to Hyrule Historia.
It's better than the Balin's Wonderworld novel, I can assure you. You.
There was a Balin's Wonderworld novel? How did I not know about this? I wish I didn't know about. You shouldn't have told me that, Jeff. Yep, I'm going to be thinking about this all day now.
It's rough stuff. It's very rough. All right, Fortnite's dev really wants a crossover with Nintendo, but hasn't had any luck. This is from Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life. Fortnite has had just about every crossover at this stage, from Dragon Ball and Marvel to Lego, but the one brand Epic believes could top them all is Nintendo. Speaking to Axios in Los Angeles this week, the head of Fortnite's ecosystem, Sax Pearson, admitted Epic had tried incredibly hard to woo the legendary video game company behind Zelda, Mario, and Donkey Kong, but was unable to make any significant progress. When asked how hard Epic had tried to woo Nintendo, Pearson told Axios, "I don't know what the word for like making diamonds is. If it did happen, though, it might just be Epic's biggest crossover ever." Pearson believes that Fortnite players would love it. Nintendo has their strategy, and we have our strategy, and we hope at some point to use their characters, Pearson said, because our players would love it. Given Nintendo's history and the way it protects certain IP, we admittedly can't see Nintendo running along the battlefield with a tactical assault rifle. And Liam Doolin's probably right about that over at Nintendo Life. This is one where it's like you could see a world in which Nintendo's like, oh yeah, maybe we should like do this. And it's probably, that world was probably the Wii U when that was out, and the only thing that Nintendo had going for it, and they needed a lot of help. It's the complete opposite world now, right? And Nintendo Switch is dominant. The games are dominant. I mean, when someone was like, saw this, like, Nintendo can't afford not to be in Fortnite, and this was a Fortnite saying that, so I didn't really want to pile on, but I couldn't help to just be like, hey, the bad Super Mario Party game that no one likes has outsold God of War Ragnarok. It has outsold The Last of Us Part 2. Like, that's where Nintendo is, and that game is I don't think even in the top 10 of its best-selling Switch games. If it is, it's near the bottom now.
So.
Because it's like it's got there's a ton of games that have done more than 16 million copies, which is, I think, or 19 million copies, which is where I think Super Mario Party is. And it's like, okay, if that's the reality that we're dealing with, Nintendo just isn't even thinking that this is a need in any way. And if they don't need it, that's going to be a big hurdle to get over to convince them they should do it, right?
Yeah, I think it's not something that Nintendo does not have to do it. They don't need the prestige. Like, you approach Crystal Dynamics and say, hey, we want to put Lara Croft in Fortnite. They're going to jump at the chance. Then you approach Nintendo like, hey, can we put, let's not be ambitious here. Let's put, somebody mentioned her in chat, let's put Samus Aran in Fortnite. And the Nintendo will be like, no, they don't have to.
Yep, exactly. And it's, at a certain point, you could see like there's maybe like a 5th, 6th tier character that if Nintendo cared about getting attention to, they could still do this, but that's not what Epic wants, and it wouldn't be worth the effort to Nintendo at a certain point. So it's just not going to happen.
It would involve like a lot of licensing the image, and I just don't think they want to be part of that.
Right, exactly. And then having to come in and dictate like, hey, this is what it's okay for these characters to do and what it's not. It's And
and the word to answer his question, the word for making diamonds is pressure.
Yes.
And I don't think they have that kind of pressure.
Exactly. Not that they can exert on a material as hard as Nintendo, right? Like that is
exactly.
Yeah, you just don't have the gusto for that one. All right. Hideo Kojima appears to have snuck a Silent Hill message into his OD trailer. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Hideo Kojima appears to have snuck a reference to Konami's Silent Hill series into his teaser trailer for OD. The Xbox exclusive, which was previously known as Overdose, was officially introduced during the Game Awards last week, along with a teaser trailer showing close-ups of actors' faces. However, as spotted by Central Xbox and verified by VGC, using the trailer on the official Kojima Productions YouTube channel, the section involving German actor Udo Kier appears to have a hidden message in it. While Kier is talking to the camera, faint letters appear in his mouth during 5 separate frames, which could be seen easier if the video's brightness levels are adjusted. In order, the letters spell out Atami, which is a Japanese city located in Shizuoka Prefecture. The kanji spelling of Shizuoka, and when separated into individual kanji, means calm, quiet, or silent. And the other kanji in there means hill. So basically, you just put Silent Hill in Udo Kier's mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, we've been trying to say like, oh yeah, Hideo Kojima is making another. Remember when Death Stranding was first like being teased before they released the trailer, and everyone's like, oh, it's just Silent Hills in disguise. Guys, we've got to let this go. We have to for our own mental health. This is not going to be. I can promise you. I would almost bet money on it. This is not going to be Silent Hill related at all.
Yes, it's not going to be Silent Hill related. But is he teasing? And he must be just teasing Konami, right? That's the other solution here. Is that he's
tweaking somebody's nose.
Exactly. He's just poking them, or at least maybe trying to suggest that this is the thing I did because I didn't get to make Silent Hills. Maybe he's trying to flag that in a way. But this is just Kojima being Kojima, right? He's just messing around because it's one of his trailers and he gets to mess around and he loves doing that shit, right?
Yeah, I think if nothing else, I would just accuse Kojima of trolling us because he knows we're going to look for that sort of stuff. And, it's like this is practically his whole ARG marketing shtick at this point.
Right.
So, yeah, I would definitely say that, I understand. I want a new good Silent Hill game, too. I don't think Kojima is going to be making it. I don't think we're going to see PT Silent Hills come back. I'm sorry, guys, but just for our own peace of mind, I think we just got to let this go.
Sarah Skate says, shout out to Grubb for pronouncing Kojima in 2 different ways in 3 seconds. I caught that too. It's just going to happen. That's how the mouth works sometimes. All right. Let's see. I think that's going to do it for the news. I got the poll question from at some point in the past. It's been a while since we did a show. It says here on YouTube 11 days ago. That just can't be right. That's wild. But we were traveling. Everybody. Yes, exactly. Rachel got to do the first show back. Very, very glad you were here for that. But yes, the poll question was, do you care that the Grand Theft Auto trilogy is on Netflix on mobile? And only 7% of you say you care. 93% said no. And that's what I voted for as well. Yeah, I get it, but I have a million ways to play these games now. I think for the very casual Netflix fan who might see GTA in their app when they're on their phone, maybe it moves the needle a little bit, but I don't think this is some actual huge get. These are the older Grand Theft Autos. People have played these before. It's not that big a deal, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say with Netflix. I feel like I don't think Netflix knows what kind of games it wants on its platform. I think it's I-throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yes.
What's going to be a big hit for Netflix? I don't think it's going to be the GTA trilogy, but they're trying everything.
They're doing it in a way that seems safer than what Google did, right, with Stadia, where it's like, hey, they're throwing
my
stuff,
old nemesis, yeah,
they're throwing stuff at the wall, but it's like $20 million they're throwing at the wall to get a bunch of games that are already playable elsewhere. Like they're just trying to get them on Stadia. That doesn't seem to be happening here. They're like, we're going to try small things and see if things.
Yeah, they're courting indies.
Yeah.
Braid and Hades and the new Valiant Hearts game, which I'm mad because I still didn't get to play because I don't have a Netflix subscription that includes games.
Yes, exactly.
Which I mean, I love Valiant Hearts. I don't want to pay for that level of Netflix just to play a Valiant Hearts game.
All right. I have a new poll question that we're going to post here in a second. In the meantime, though, Rachel, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet and all that good stuff?
Okay, well, you can find me on a little site you may have heard of called GamesBeat. I'm going to be writing some news stuff. I'm working on an Avatar Frontiers of Pandora review. I also do a weekly column there called Kaser Focus. You can catch that on Fridays if you're interested in hearing me rant about the industry. Usually after Minotti has already clocked off for the weekend. That's usually when I really get going with that column. And also, Jeff, since the last time you and I talked, I kind of have something going over on TikTok.
Really?
I've started doing a daily gaming news blast on TikTok.
Very cool. How's that going?
It's going pretty well. A lot of people seem to show up and appreciate me like giving them like rapid fire news updates. 3 minutes or less. I always keep it to 3 minutes or less unless it's a very special episode like it was with the Game Awards. But yeah, it's my username on TikTok. You can just search my name, but it's my username is @GraceOfAthena. And yeah, you can also find me on Twitter. I'm over on Blue Sky now. If you want to if you're a Twitter refugee, which I don't blame you, but yeah, so you can if you want to see more of my face, you can definitely do it on TikTok.
Excellent. Yeah, so everyone follow Rachel on TikTok, Grace of Athena. You can also search Rachel Kaser. Fantastic. I now that you mention it, I think I've seen a TikTok of yours come across my feed like that. So yes, excellent.
Oh, that would be small world.
Yes, that's how it goes sometimes.
I think I follow you on TikTok as well.
Yeah, I've started posting, like I go for my morning walks now. I'm just like, I'll post a TikTok of me doing bullshit on my walk every day. And most of the video is just me crunching leaves. That's all you can hear. So
yeah, I think I did call Jeff Keighley a tall drink of Canadian water on one of my TikToks.
A tall drink of Vernors. Yeah. All right. We have a new poll question for Wednesday, because tomorrow's going to be the Bombcast for Wednesday. Were you happy with the Game Awards? Yes or no? Just curious.
Oh, heavy question.
Heavy question. Interpret it however you want, whatever you think, yes or no, if you're happy with the Game Awards. We'll discuss it then. In the meantime, Rachel, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I missed you, Jeff. It's good to be back.
Missed you too. We'll get you back on way more often. It's the ADHD, out of sight, out of mind is how it goes for me.
No, it's fine.
Then I'm like, who can I get? Like, here's what happened. I'll be like, who can I get for the Monday show? And I'm like, there's no one. And there's like a list of like 10 people who are like, I would totally do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. I forgot. That's just how I am.
I would definitely be in like a better, if we did this like another Monday, any other Monday, but it's like the roof is literally being worked on where I usually work. And so you would hear nothing but like loud hammer sounds like if I was there now. So
that's just normal for us. Every time we do a show, it feels like Jeff Baclar's got someone like working in his yard. I'm like, what kind of, do you have a fucking jungle out there? I've been there. He doesn't. I don't know what's going on over there. That's just New Jersey. That's how they do it there.
I'm just getting ascended
Fall
by
into the sun everybody.
Gods.
Thanks for listening, everybody. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.